Why, hello there. My name is Mountain, and today I'd like to talk to you about this. And what is this, you might ask? Well, this, my friends, is the Aer Travel Pack 3 Small, shown here in the X-Pac version. As the name suggests, the Aer Travel Pack 3 Small is the 28-liter smaller version of the third iteration of the San Francisco-based Aer's long-running and highly popular travel pack series. Now, I happen to be showing you this bag in the X-Pac version, but there are a wide variety of materials and colorways available, which I'll touch on in a bit. There's also a larger version of this bag, which I'll touch on in a bit as well. I've used all of the different versions of this bag, not all the colors, but all the different versions of this bag. So you can consider this a kind of general review of the Travel Pack 3 series, both large and small, rather than anything specific to the X-Pac variant for the most part, or anything specific to the 28-liter versus 35-liter. And I'll touch on briefly the differences or lack thereof here in a second. Now, its main claim to fame is that it has a very high degree of internal organization. I'm just going to show you a quick preview here on this front pocket here, and there's even more in here, a zipper in here, and all the pocketing, and there's pockets on the side, and the laptop and the thing, and there's more pockets inside of the laptop thing. And anyway, we'll get into all that here. And it also couples that with a large main compartment and main packing area. And there's more organization on this bag than I would say than you would find on virtually any other non-Aer EDC use pack, even though this is ostensibly a travel pack. Now, it also has the typical robust materials and strong execution that we've come to expect from Aer. That's among the very best, I think, that you can get within the general mass market, general consumer level brands. Obviously, there are specialty retailers or whatever that are, maybe a little bit more special on all that, but like this is a very good, for generally available mass consumer, this is pretty good. Has a ton of travel oriented features, has load lifter straps on the back, a zip away water bottle on the side, compression straps that unbuckle with magnets. How do they work? It's got a luggage pass-through on the back here, optional hip belt, multiple quick access pockets on the top and on the side, and just pockets for everything. Basically, if there's a feature on a travel bag out there, there's a very high chance that it's available on this bag. And it has quite a robust load carriage system as well. Thick padding, substantial shoulder straps, an optional hip belt on down here, luggage pass-through, fairly stiff frame sheet that does a good job of transferring, fairly heavy loadouts, and just handles on every side of this bag, including the bottom. So very robust load carriage on this bag. Now, it does have some cons. It's quite heavy and overbuilt, as you might imagine. All those features and organization and stuff come at the expense of weight. It has a surprisingly below average capacity to size and weight ratio. There's so many compartments and features going on, coupled with fairly thick construction. Like there's just a lot of material and space devoted to the construction of compartments and subdivisions and stuff, that when you get down to the actual main compartment itself, it doesn't hold as much as you would expect relative to other bags that are nominally rated the same size or certainly the same external dimensions. And again, there's some variance in capacity between manufacturers, but when you look at on a dimension-to-dimension basis, this bag just holds less, especially for the weight. And it's a bit fussy. Not only are there a lot of pockets here to keep track of what you put in where, there's also some fussiness around the different zipper pulls tend to get in each other's way. You can't quite remember which one is which. And sometimes the load lifters are annoying because you have to manually release them when you want to put the bag in the overhead container and all that. So anyway, just a lot of fussiness sometimes with this bag. In terms of the basic facts of this bag, it's 28 liters, but it is also available in a 35-liter version, which I'll show you here in a second. And it's available in 3 different material ways. 1680D nylon, sort of like the base version of this bag. This is the X-Pac variant here, as you can see. And then there's also an ultra, I forget if it's 400 TX or whatever version as well. And it's available in 4 colors for the base nylon version. There's black, gray, green, and blue. Available just in black for the X-Pac, and then a kind of a dark gray, which is technically called Black Magic for the Ultra version. And the prices range from about $229 US for the base nylon version, all the way up to about $279 US for the higher end Ultra edition. This is, as you might see and expect, the black 28-liter X-Pac version. All of these are available on aersf.com. And before we go any further, a quick disclaimer. I bought this bag in that larger 35-liter version with my own money. I've used it for at least a year, if maybe not more. I've used all versions of this bag from the V1, V2, V3 in both sizes. So this one, I've used the version 3 for at least a year or so. So I did mention that there is a larger version of this bag. That's this one here. This is the 35-liter Aer Travel Pack 3. Here also showed an X-Pac, just to kind of keep things in the family. Basically, it's identical in every way, I would say, to the 28-liter version, except it's just a little bit larger. Like every other feature basically is matched, feature for feature on this one. I will say that I think that the overall capacity to size, or especially weight ratio, improves slightly in the larger version of the bag, simply because you're distributing some of the sunk costs of some of the base construction features over a larger capacity. It's still not class leading, but it is better than the small 28-liter. Other than that, though, I would say it's basically the same, except, just a little bit larger. I would characterize, especially the 35-liter larger version, as kind of like one of the quintessential great big black travel bags kind of genre of like the carry world here. Anyway, for the most part, you can consider everything I say about this 28-liter version, which is one I tend to use a little bit more, simply because it's it's a more reasonable size for most of the travel I do. To apply to this one, you can just fit in more stuff on here. So let's talk about the materials and design of this bag. Now, I've often described Aer as having some of the best mass market, general consumer level materials and execution out there, and I think it's true here. So this bag features excellent materials: VX42 X-Pac, sailcloth exterior, YKK, water resistant coated zippers, and sometimes regular zippers in a few places somewhere, but largely coated zippers for the most part. All over, Duraflex hardware, Hypalon accents like on the zipper garage cover or whatever. Just good stuff all around. Obviously, if you get one of the other material ways like the 1680D, you get the Cordura ballistic nylon, or if you go with the Ultra version, you get Ultra 400 EX exteriors. And I kind of like that, even though like Aer, generally, I think does some of the best, like just ballistic nylon, generally available consumer EDC packs out there, travel packs, etc. It's nice that they're kind of dipping their toes in like higher end kind of material ways and categories. First, obviously with X-Pac, now at this point, they regularly offer X-Pac variants of most of their bags here, which are slightly lighter, I would add, than the nylon versions. And now with the Ultra version here. I don't have the Ultra version of this one here, but I have reviewed other Ultra bags in the Aer series, and I'll link some of those videos below here. If it were up to me, and I bought this one a while ago, as I mentioned, before the Ultra editions were out or whatever. Honestly, I think you're going to have a pretty great experience with all of them. If it were up to me, and if you don't mind the look, or rather if you like the look of the Ultra edition, I would go with the Ultra edition, simply because it has some slightly smaller refinements, like the zipper pulls are Hypalon instead of these, which are a little bit annoying. The interior accent color is not orange or like gray like it is in the nylon version, or the orange in this one, but kind of a lime green, which I personally think is a little bit nicer. There's just a few other minor refinements in kind of the exterior design. It's obviously a little bit lighter, theoretically a bit more durable, etc. And the price is not that great. If you're considering the X-Pac variant, I would probably go for the Ultra instead of that. Of course, if you don't like the of Ultra, X-Pac I think is always like a hot choice, and it's pretty robust and all that. And of course, the base nylon gives you a bunch of different options, and it is also extremely robust. And the robustness of X-Pac and Ultra and ballistic nylon and Cordura are all different in different aspects. So it's not like one is clearly stronger than the other. Kind of depends on what you're looking for: abrasion, tear, etc., whatever. In terms of design, though, so I don't really have too much else to say about this bag's materials, other than they are generally excellent. I forgot to mention like fidlock on some of the things like the sternum strap and like the side buckles or whatever. Just generally excellent for the consumer grade bag that it is. And you won't be disappointed on. So next, let's talk about the design of this bag. As you can see, the bag stands up on its own for the most part under most loadouts here. This is loaded out just how I had it on a trip, which I think is kind of representative of like what this bag kind of tends to excel at. And I'll talk about that in the for, not for section at the end here. It is a bit heavy. Now it's 1,700 grams just for the nylon version alone. And like, I just recently reviewed a 25 to 30 liter travel bag. So this is 28 liters nominally. 25 to 30 liter travel bag that was only 780 grams. And there's also like the Bellroy Light travel bags, that's 30 liters. It's only 950 grams. And even the Evergood CTB 26 is only like 1,500 grams. Now, granted, the X-Pac variant is slightly lighter, 1642, but no matter how you look at it, this is a heavy bag on its own. And kind of just, a bit, heavy and that's kind of what you're, maybe that's part of the charm of this bag though, I think, because I do think it's one of its strengths is it's quite like robust and well built, and I guess that comes with a price. It has sort of generally like you know, a rounded squircle, gently rounded squircle thing on the profile view. You got like a nice curved area. There's a little bit of like patterning, and you can see here at the, oops, let me see if I can point right. Like here, you kind of get a little bit of independent dimension that gives you like this like kind of nice curve on the front here. I'll get out the side so you can see like this, with a nice square rectangular section and then flat on the back. That's kind of pretty typical for Aer's bag. So I think the black on black on black colorways are all pretty sleek. There is a lot of stuff dangling though, like in the Ultra Edition, you don't have these, you have less annoying or less dangly Hypalon pulls, which I think are better. But on this one, you do get a lot of like dangling. The bag is oriented into multiple compartments in a pattern that I think is pretty common for Aer's bags. So you kind of have like this front compartment, and then you've got like the main compartment, and then you've got like this rear laptop compartment on the back. And so it's kind of how you understand visually the look of this bag, as well as like a series of compartments kind of stacked together, which is sort of like, you know, how most bags are constructed, not all, but many bags are constructed. I think it just really comes into sharp relief given like the kind of just rectangular black solidity of like the gently curved rectangular prism before you here. So when you wear this on your back, you feel like you're wearing a very compact but very dense, but visually heavy and physically heavy black box. And that's even more so true for the larger 35 liter. As I mentioned, the 35 liter, I think, is like one of the quintessential exemplars in the category of like big black travel bag that is very popular. You know, things like the Peak Design travel bag and like the Tortuga travel bags and that the Aer travel bags. And so this kind of category of bags. Like, in terms of maybe like talking about the different compartments of this bag, let's just get right into it here and start with this. Let's start with this front compartment here. So this is the kind of front organizer compartment, and it folds down. And I have this bag packed out just how I used it on a recent kind of business trip where I needed to bring, it was like a overnight or sorry, 2 nights, and I had to bring change of clothes and also like, you know, some work clothes and some business papers, man, and some other stuff there. So it's kind of packed out here. So you can see in here, there's a bunch of different organization. It folds down all the way, though usually you'll probably just fold it down halfway and work out of there. Tons of organization in this panel here. I have here like my notebook, which I use for everything. And that just sort of drops right into this front pocket here, which has a little bit of independent dimension, kind of due to that patterning I showed you before. And then you're kind of greeted with like 1, 2, 3, 4 main pockets, sorry, 4 main pockets and a little stretchy one here and then a zipper. There's a lot that's going on here. Here I have my personal phone. Here I have my work phone. And then I have a pen in this pen slot here. This is a tactile turn. I forgot which one this was, but this is one of my favorite ones of the series there. And then inside of here, in the bottom pocket here, I have like my business card holder. And then I have like a little USB battery there. And that's kind of it. You can still fit other stuff in there, but it does kind of get kind of tight because you can see already it's packed up pretty much to, you know, the limit inside of the, not quite, but very close in the main compartment, just because it doesn't have that much capacity to size, as I mentioned. Now, inside of here, there's a zipper flat pocket, which goes down about right here. And inside of here, I have just another small notebook. You might be like, why does he have 2 notebooks? That is sometimes, I use my main notebook, but sometimes I'm in an area where I just need to take like my work phone and a little notebook or whatever and go somewhere. So that's why I always carry like a little small one for a case where I don't want to be carrying a bunch of stuff. And that'll also fit like in a pocket or something, or in a suit pocket or something. Inside of here, oh sorry, I don't have anything else inside here. There's no dimension here, but it's kind of flat. So if you were to keep something like a wallet, it'd have to be a pretty slim wallet, like a Bellroy Apex wallet or whatever. It would fit nicely inside here, because then you've got 1 layer of security, and then you've got a second layer of security on top there. But it's still easy to kind of access from the top. And all of these are kind of designed because this bag stands up nicely. Drop it down next to you in a seminar or cafe or a desk or whatever. You can just kind of zip it down a little bit, and you can reach into and easily get everything in and out for the most part here. Pockets have this nice kind of elasticity, though the pockets themselves are just made out of this kind of nylon, ripstop nylon. So they don't have any stretch inherent, but they do have elastication at the top. Behind it is this big flat pocket. If you had papers and those papers were related to like business man. You can put them inside of here, and in fact I did. I've obviously taken my business papers out here, so you can't get all up in my business. I have like a mask here, just in case people be coughing or whatnot. It's pretty flat in here, so I don't think you could fit much of like thickness or volume. In some previous versions, like or it's not previous versions, but in some bags like the Aer City Pack, I think original or something like that, I was able to get like a really flat shell into here. I wouldn't really put any clothes in this particular one. And again, that's because I think this main compartment doesn't hold that much. It tends to be packed out pretty strongly there. But you could fit, you know, papers, magazines. I also was able to fit a tablet in here, a small tablet in that spot if I wanted. And then finally, I forgot to mention, there's this weird little see-through elastic mesh pocket here. I don't really know what to do with this one. I tried putting like my AirPod Pros in here, but I found it just didn't work really well with the phone that I had in that spot. But you know, it's good to have it in there, I guess, maybe. And what I like about this whole area is, as I kind of said, like how easy it is to kind of just load, and this area acts like a big dump spot, which is kind of nice. Okay, so let's turn the bag around. And let's talk about the laptop compartment. Now, the laptop compartment is mounted on the back. It's accessible via this waterproof YKK or water-resistant YKK coated zipper, two-way pulls. There's a lock. They're locking zippers. These are the first of the many dangly little zipper pulls you're about to see here. It opens up like this, and it reveals the laptop slot and kind of your tech pocket or whatever. So I'm going to turn the bag sideways here. You can see it only comes down this far. So like I said, this is very much a bag that's oriented to be worked in and out of vertically, and that works fine, I think. In the back, you have a fleece-lined, fairly well padded, actually very well padded on both sides. And there's also a frame sheet in here for the back panel, laptop compartment. And here I have a 14-inch M4 MacBook Pro, but you can fit, you know, any similar size and up to like a 16-inch inside of there. There is no, oh, sorry, this thing has a false bottom. This laptop compartment has a false bottom. And then there's also a opening in front of, here's the laptop compartment. There's like this main opening, so you can put stuff in there as well, business papers or whatever. But it doesn't have a false bottom. The main compartment doesn't. So, you know, there's no laptop compartment, or sorry, there's a laptop compartment in the laptop compartment, of course, but there's no tablet compartment in this area. That's why I ended up putting my tablet inside that front drop-in pocket that I mentioned here. At the top, there is this kind of recessed one-way small zipper. This is kind of like the tech pocket. And inside of here, I have like stuff that, I mean, I think ostensibly you're supposed to carry like your charger or like, you know, your mouse or whatever. It's pretty flat, like it's pretty tight, like it's padded, so you could do that. It has a little bit of padding here, but it's pretty slim. So I would carry like a charger in there, but usually, I mean, I'm about to show you a charger. I mean, I would carry like a, you know, like a 30-watt charger for my MacBook or something. But usually I'm just carrying like a phone charger, like a 20-watt Anker Nano with a USB cable, and then like a little phone stand for like when I'm on the train or whatever. Easy to kind of just reach in there, grab that. Maybe my headphones would go in there, like my small earbuds or whatever. Stuff like that. Again, you could fit the 30-watt charger, maybe a 96-watt charger. But what I found is if I put too much stuff in here, because of just how tight this whole compartment is, it started to get a little bit harder to get my laptop out of there, because it would just kind of intrude, bulge into the spot. But you can do it. So before we get into the main compartment, let's take a quick detour and look at the external pockets on this bag. Now, on the front of the bag, you have the kind of trademark, not really trademark, but quintessential characteristic Aer YKK AquaGuard zipper. One way, opens up, pop a red, and inside of there you see a leash for your keys. I have my keys here taped up so y'all can't lock, pick, and lawyer me. On a nice little decent strap of cloth with a key clip. Shame on companies that don't put at least as much level of effort into here. Aer does a decent job. It's not really long enough, I found, to be able to like unlock your door with this kind of slung over your shoulder, but it's not intended to, I think. It's just kind of intended to help you fish your keys out when you have other stuff in this pocket. Now, flipping the bag around, and this is the top of the bag, bottom of the bag, front of the bag. It's kind of just like a dump pocket, and there's nothing else in there besides that key leash. You get that contrast orange. And on the side, you can see, as I mentioned before, there's a little bit of like, subtle bit of like independent dimensioning, but overall things get pretty tight in this area. It only reaches halfway, because obviously the top half is that kind of like flap for, well, I mean, not obviously, but like the top half is just kind of like the flap of the organizer pocket. So it only reaches halfway. And as a result, I found it pretty tight to like get a lot of stuff in here when the bag itself was kind of filled up. I really just kept my keys and like a hand cream or a little towel or something like that in there. And you do have these nice little counter pulls here and a nice little Hypalon zipper garage. Turning the bag on its side here, we see on this side, you have a water bottle pocket, and it zips up and then it expands out to, you know, give you a little bit of gustening, a little bit of mesh that's non-sticky. I said non-sticky, I meant non-elastic, but also hopefully non-sticky. And then I have here my Purist water bottle that is 18 ounces, so whatever that is, 523 milliliters, something like that, I feel. I looked it up. Goes inside of here. You can see, like, it does a decent job of carrying a water bottle of this size. It's pretty, but you can see this is kind of the maximum dimension of it. So anything that's like narrow to medium size, I think will go in here. But this kind of maxes out the elasticity here. Anything that's too tall would also probably slide out a little bit, just because it's pretty smooth. Like, there's elasticity here, but it's all smooth on the inside. And this isn't stretchy nor sticky mesh here, so it's, you know, it's pretty smooth. But anything that's too tall, when you kind of invert the bag, especially if you lean it, put it in an overhead bin, like, it can kind of easily slide its way out here. Under normal carriage, you're not going to have that problem. The water bottle pocket works well if you're trying to put like an umbrella or like a battle axe or like you know, a tripod for some reason. A tripod might be a bit too tall, and then the battle axe has to be a very small battle axe. So depending on what kind of work you do. And then you can kind of secure it with this compression strap / load strap or whatever. I'll talk about these in a second here, but basically suffice it to say that like it's good enough to like secure maybe one leg of a very small tripod, or like the main pole of like a very small pole arm. But it doesn't, this is kind of the max extension, so anything that's too round in diameter, it's not going to be able to go around, and there's no other elasticity option. This is the max extension, which generally works well for compression. Not that great for stabilization of taller contents in this pocket or umbrella, etc. But you do have this little D-ring up at the top, which you can then kind of loop a cord or elastic loop or bungee or something like that and use that in there. So that's this kind of water bottle pocket here. And when you zip it away, it is nice and flat. And technically you could put something inside of here, but I would find that a little bit weird, fussy. On the other side, you have a kind of quick access-ish side pocket. Inside of here, I have some cough drops because I was coughing and I needed to put some drops in my mouth. This is some hand cream. I just happened to put it inside of here because this one was a little bit taller, but I do, as I said, sometimes store it inside of this front pocket as well. And it's pretty flat. Like, there's not really any independent dimension, so to speak, in this area. I mean, you do have a little bit of just flex of the material, but generally I found this useful for like, well, exactly what I'm showing you right now. Another thing that I found useful to put in here was like a USB battery charger, because it's kind of easy to access. I have it inside of here, as I showed you earlier on, but I often would carry it here when I'm actually on the go or whatever. This is kind of like once I'm in the office or whatever, and I don't need it that often, etc. And then the last of like kind of the external pockets to show you before we get into the main compartment is this top quick access pocket right here. It goes down all the way into the main compartment, which I will show you when I show you the main compartment. So it's kind of like lays flat down this way. It is fleece lined and kind of padded, softly padded. You could put sunglasses in here and they wouldn't be scratched, but they might be squished by the weight of the contents that you have in the main compartment, which I will show you here in a second. So I don't really put sunglasses or any kind of glasses in there. I usually put like chapstick, you know, hand sanitizer. So I would drop my phone in here when I'm not carrying my phone inside of here, or if I were in an area where it was slightly higher risk. So you could easily fit something like a iPhone 15 Pro Max inside of here, and if it's nice and sideways, still have room for other stuff or whatever. It's a fairly flat quick access pocket, but it is large enough to easily hold a phone like this. It won't damage it. You know, if you're in a high risk or kind of like high crime area, you probably don't want to have your phones on the outside here. So next, let's talk about the main compartment of this bag. And to do that, we're going to lay the bag down. And we're going to open up the main compartment. And one of the things you kind of just saw here is because the zippers pulls are kind of all the same and they tend to dangle quite a bit, you do sometimes, they get caught up in each other like this. You can see actually this happens a lot. Like this front one gets caught in the track of the other one. You have to kind of like go here. And then when they're like this on the top, sometimes you don't quite know which one to grab. This is one of like the annoying friction points or annoyances or fussiness that I mentioned about this bag. I find myself always battling with the zippers. Also, I like the YKK AquaGuard, StormGuard zippers on this bag. I think they look good. We're used to using them with X-Pac, or it just kind of has like a nice aesthetic, but they are quite, because they're very large, they're larger zippers, and they're two-way. So they're very, like, they are not frictionful to open like this. This is fine, but they do have friction. You can see, like you could, right? And when you try and grab both, to move them out of the way of each other. So we're trying to move this zipper track this way, and this that requires a lot of force. So it's not something that if you've got the zippers up like this, it's easy to do with one hand. Like the bag will spin. And so there is a lot of friction in these zippers, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And obviously, like, you know, I try and do what the obvious thing would be, which is like kind of keep one set of zippers. You can see like here, like I'm trying to pull it down, but it's just really hard. Try to keep one set of zippers down here, one set of zippers up here, but there's a lot of zippers, right? There's the zippers of the laptop compartment, which is, you know, here, and then there's the zippers of the front one. And zippers. So you kind of lose track of which one you've got on which side. I mean, which one's on the right, which one's on the left, which one's on the top. I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill, but it is just kind of a constant sort of friction that you're kind of working through with this bag. I will say that they do tend to break down over time a little bit, or break in. I don't want to say break down, but they do get smoother. And I mean, they just kind of wear in a little bit more and something. So it's just something to maybe look into, or to look forward to, or just to understand about what you're getting with this bag here. When we open this bag up, we're going to see it opens up in a vertical clamshell like this, revealing the main compartment and then the internal front lid here. So I'm going to talk about the internal front lid first, and I'm going to talk about the main compartment. Now, the internal front lid and actually has two pockets. It has one pocket up here, which is sort of like stretch elastic. That's a little bit see-through. You can sort of see my fingers in there, though, like it is kind of opaque when you're not, like, when the contents are pushing up against it, but you can see like what you put in there sometimes. So sort of opaque pocket. Now, it is stretchy as well, so it can actually hold some fairly, like, chunky stuff. Though, you know, I usually just use it for my wallet, the Bellroy Apex wallet, a coin pouch, and then, like, these are my AirPod Pros in a Bellroy leather case, and that's it. You can put, you know, other stuff, a lot more stuff in there if you wanted to. Here. There is no pocket on this part here. Usually you'll have one pocket up here and then like 1/2 pocket here. But what you have instead is a whole nother pocket on this front lid area, which is kind of common to see in many kinds of travel-oriented bags. That's why I was kind of saying this is sort of a travel-oriented style bag here. Inside of here, I just have a necktie because I sometimes had to wear a necktie, but not always. So I just brought that in here. You could fit like a dress shirt in here if you fold it up really carefully. I wouldn't. I kind of use this for other papers or other things that I wanted to keep flat, but also still accessible. The necktie is a good example of that. Like a pair of gloves would go in here or whatever. And what I want to show you about this kind of orientation is, and see, I want you to show you. See, like, again, zippers are, you can see they're stuck here. It doesn't break, it doesn't get snagged, there's nothing broken, it's just annoying. So the reason why I think it's kind of cool is when you've got the bag like this and you just drop it on the side like this, you can unzip this zipper, revealing, you know, it's a top end view. Unzip this zipper, and then you can get whatever you have inside of here. Your tie, your gloves, whatever. So I don't know if you need rapid access to like a, you know, like your tie on the go. Oh my goodness. Let's go. You know, first aid kit, depending, again, if you're in the work that requires you to carry a battle axe strapped to the side, a first aid kit, maybe this would be a good place to carry a very flat first aid kit, but usually, you know, gloves or papers, something like that, I think is kind of a handy additional way of accessing something like that. Okay, regarding that internal front lid pocket itself, it's got a little bit of independent dimension, you can kind of see. So it does, you know, it can hold a little bit of, you know, flat thickness stuff, or things with a little bit of thickness there. And I did notice that just right now, like I mentioned, the execution on this bag is generally very good, but I did have one little stray thread here, which it's gonna be hard for you to see. Oh yeah, there you can see. Hello. There, but that's the first time I've noticed that. I've been using this bag for a year, so maybe it's just developed. Okay. Last thing too about this lid is like it hinges at the bottom, which is very good for, you know, full access. But because there's a lot of stuff in here when it's loaded up, like the lid can be pretty heavy. That's just unavoidable. It's the nature of this kind of bag here. I like that. I think it does a better job than many other kinds of bags that put a lot of organization in here. One thing you want to be careful about is if you put your phones in here, don't slam it like this because they will break. Ask me how I know. Okay, so now we go into this main compartment here, and it's a nice big open bucket of a gently rectangular nature. That's a beautiful thing. I'm kind of rocking the whole Aer thing. Those of y'all who watch the channel know that I like to sometimes explore the entire ecosystem of a brand's offerings, because I feel like that kind of represents their view on how to holistically approach problem spaces. This is the Aer Dop Kit 3 in X-Pac. I kind of like this one a lot. I usually carry like the Matador flat pack Dop Kit or my own Dyneema ones or whatever, because if there's a place you want to save weight, it's obviously your Dop Kit. But I kind of like this one as an objet, and I like how this one just kind of sits there. Oops, I guess you can't really see. This one sort of just sits there, and it's nice, and you can, you know, get in and out of it or whatever. One day I want to do a full review of just my whole theory around Dop kits. And I have Dop kits from extra small all the way to extra large. This is this is a small medium, a medium one here. But obviously X-Pac, because we're doing the X-Pac thing. And then here we have, for my electronics and miscellaneous or whatever, I have the Aer Slim Pouch in X-Pac. This one, you can see obviously the family resemblance there. Top zip extra little thing here. Orange on there, same black mesh here, and then I've got things like just extra chargers and whatever other random miscellaneous stuff I'll throw it inside of here, and that's kind of like my electronics / miscellaneous pouch here. Inside of here I have like the Aer Zip Pouch Small, I think this one's called, with just like a few little additional miscellaneous items. That's something that I would carry inside of here. I really like this pouch. In general, there's a larger version as well, which works really great as a shoe pouch. Speaking of shoes, you're not going to be able to fit shoes in here unless they're like basically like slides or like slippers or whatever. There's not a lot of space in here, you can see, because this right here, this is the Aer Packing Cube Large or Medium or whatever. It's the larger one. There's only 2 sizes. I really like this one a lot. It has built-in compression or whatever. It's a nice square size. It fits really nicely inside of here. But you can see here, like, oh, and then obviously my hair, I actually got to look good or else it don't matter. When we look at this, like this is all the space you have. Here is, I'll talk about this in a second here, and the little thing here, I'll tell you that. But you can see it's pretty like small in the end. Now it is easy to pack because like the walls stand up nice and straight, and so this thing fits perfectly in there, and I love that. It's such a good feeling. And you put in your little extra, you know, kit in there, fits nice in there, right? Like you get a little bit extra space here. These get a little bit weird though, right? Because there's not actually like a really nice, you know, drop this in here. It's not really a nice place to drop this. So you kind of just pile them on top here, something like this, trying to work them in the crannies. But you can see like we're over the zipper lining by quite a bit. And so you just kind of get like this. You can definitely close it, don't get me wrong. Like you absolutely can close it. It's not completely maxed out, but you can see like the bag caught on the zipper again. This is not at maximum capacity, but it is certainly more filled up than I would have hoped with the contents of what I had in it. Anyway, it's something I kind of wanted to, you know, talk about, which is depending on what you're carrying. Like if you're carrying 2 packing cubes worth of clothing, this bag may, you know, you could fit like a small, you could fit like the Aer small packing cube in here. That's going to be fine. And then you're not going to be able to fit this thing in there, or maybe you will, but it'll be like really tight because you'll really start to like have to squish stuff in there. You can probably fit a slim pouch in there, but then you're going to have a hard time fitting the Aer X-Pac Dop kit that has some thickness on there, or any of the other Aer Dop kits. That's why I usually go with like the Matador flat pack one, because it's nice and flat. It doesn't take up a lot of space. And then you could, you know, move this into like a, you know, flat little pouch or whatever. It won't take up a lot of space. Or you could maybe, if you have a small kit, you know, You could probably fit it all inside of the tech pouch as well. But I kind of wanted to, experiment with the entire Aer travel ecosystem. You could definitely fit some stuff inside of the main compartment, but you can't fit as much as you might expect. So something to keep in mind. And then there's obviously the 35-liter version if you want. The other kind of notable features is there's this little zip pocket on the side here for like things you want to have in the main compartment. You want to make sure you have easy access to. You can sort of theoretically unzip the main zipper and kind of slide your finger in here and get in there or whatever if you wanted to. And on the inside here, here's that quick access pocket I was talking to you about earlier, where you can see, like, if you put your glasses on there, when you put stuff on top of here, it's going to get squished. So it does have a little bit of foam padding, but not enough to like prevent it from getting squished if it's like really packed out. And then behind here, you have this little Aer tag stretch mesh pocket, hello, where you can put your Aer tag so you can track your bag. Overall, nice stuff. I wish there were like a flat elastic pocket here, but alas, there is not. And that if that were there, it would help this bag, I think, a little bit more if you're trying to use it for the Goldilocks context, which I don't really think it's the best choice for, but it is theoretically doable for. And I'll talk about that in the 4 not 4 section here in a minute. But before we get into that, let me talk a little bit about the load carriage system on this bag here. Now, the load carriage system on this bag consists of all the load carriage, man. You got a handle on this side, foam core with a kind of nylon tube wrapping over it, nice bar tack stitching here. Same for the top, except it's even thicker and broader, relatively low profile. You could definitely grab it without gloves, and even with gloves, I found it very easy to kind of slide my fingers in and get, because it's just so broad and it's got some stiffness. Same handle on this side here, and on the bottom you get a flat, low profile, just nylon webbing strap. So you can really portage this bag in any direction or orientation that you would like. Carrying it by the top handle I find to be actually quite comfortable for the most part, though again it tends to be fairly well loaded out because it is a travel bag and you can't fit that much in it, so it tends to become very dense when you squish stuff in there. And then you can carry it by the side, which I actually found quite comfortable way to carry the bag, kind of suitcase style, and it's not too bad because these are pretty comfy. And then this one is mainly used, I think, to pull it out of the overhead bin or something like that towards you. You pull it out of the overhead bin, grab one of the handles on the side, and on the side you have these dual compression straps / additional strappage options. I already mentioned these briefly here. They don't have any elasticity and they are captive. You can't remove them. And this is as far out as they go here. I can show you on the side. This is as far out as these straps. Look at all these zipper pulls, man. They go out here. So I think you would have a hard time getting a yoga mat through here unless it's the world's thinnest yoga mat, or a yoga mat for a mouse. A very tall but very flat mouse. For the most part, I don't use them. I just leave them like this. You can use them to cinch the bag down if you wanted to. If you wanted to really reduce the width or the depth of the bag. I don't like to do that because I find it ruins the fabric and the nice rectangular prism shape that I alluded to earlier when I was talking about the design of this bag. But if you want to try and use this bag like an EDC bag, which I'll touch on in a minute, that might be one thing. For the most part, they're there to maybe provide a little bit of additional compression. I think they could have just as easily have lost them and it would have been fine. But it is nice to kind of have these to kind of hang something off of. Again, just keep in mind that these are fidlock buckles, so they can get released inadvertently. Unlikely to happen, but could happen. Now, flip the bag around to the back and we get into the main load carriage section. There is a frame sheet on the back. Well, so there's a frame sheet in this bag, which is fairly stiff. It is got some flexibility, but it is fairly stiff. Does a good job of transferring weight down through the bag, or kind of load stabilization and load transference, I should say. And then on top of that, you've got these dual foam kind of air mesh with a little bit of padding. Each side kind of nominally got some air channels here. It's the same thing I always say, this is, if you're running through the airport or whatever with this bag, you're going to get sweaty. It's not going to do that much to evacuate air, but these are fairly comfortable and they provide a decent moisture absorption. And the frame sheet is kind of good for kind of stabilize or transferring load. You will feel like you're wearing, as I mentioned, a dense kind of square or a rectangular prism on your back, but it is kind of the appeal in some way of like the aesthetics and structure of this bag here. Simple luggage pass-through here. I like these a lot. I know companies starting to move away from these vertically oriented ones to horizontally oriented ones. We'll talk about that in a future video. But anyway, this works great. And because this bag has like a nice little kind of squircle rectangular thing going on, I find it sits really nicely like on a, you know, a rolling luggage or whatever. Though obviously you gotta like tighten up the straps or whatever. Speaking of straps, you've got standard Aer high quality travel bag use straps. They're fairly, you know, densely padded, not the thickest in the world, but they're fairly densely padded. You got like this kind of little bit harder layer on the top and then like a foam in the middle. And then you've got the same kind of Aer mesh on the inside here. It's a little bit rough, but like certainly comfortable enough for wearing on any kind of clothing and on your bare skin. But maybe I would just be careful about wearing like a merino's wool sweater or something, cashmere sweater, something like that. The shoulder straps are appropriately robust, I think, for the kind of loads you'll be carrying on this. And like I mentioned, they have good padding. Get a lot of stuff going on. You got like this little horizontal thing to attach like an accessory pouch onto it. You've got a removable, adjustable sternum strap. You all know I'm a member of the sternum strap squad. This is a good one. It is removable, standard attachment mechanism, so you can buy replacements from third parties if you wanted to. Fidlock buckle in the middle, elastic strap keeper. The only thing is it attaches in a normal, reasonable way rather than trying to invent something crazy. The only thing it's really missing in terms of features like the built-in elasticity to kind of like, you know, reduce the tension on you when you're kind of like running with the bag, but it's completely fine. I think it gets you nice and locked into this with a nice stiff back panel, stiff, but still cushioned here. You got, you know, Duraflex buckle here and then just a simple strap runner down to here, built-in elastic strap keeper, which I like. And these straps are easy to adjust with this and then they hold their place once they are kind of adjusted. So all the competent good things about this shoulder strap, and it's very good, I think, again, for the kind of loads you're likely to be carrying inside of here. I mean, it is going to be very dense and very small. If you pack it out, you'll be comfortable, but you will feel it invariably at the end of a long day if you're walking around 8 hours in a city with this. But it's very good, I think, for like point-to-point travel and even a little bit of like get to your hotel or whatever. There. Finally, 2 attachment points down at the bottom here for an optional hip belt that's sold. I don't use the hip belt. I think it's a little bit weird to use unnecessary, not weird, to use a hip belt for a 28-liter bag. Even, you know, it just would get fussier than it needs to be for whatever benefit you would get. But you will get decent load carriage or load transfers because of this frame sheet that I mentioned. They make a lot more sense, I think, on the 35-liter one, which can get quite big and quite large, and it is just not as compact densely as this one. So that can kind of help you a little bit, like kind of just hang off all that weight off your hips or whatever. So I like that those are sold separately and an option. Oh, there's one more thing I forgot to mention, which are the load lifters. So because, you know, to get this thing all working nicely, you pull up these load lifters and you get this nice little curve and it really locks in you lock in the sternum strap, and if you're a sternum strap user, and you tighten it up, and then you got this nice, the firm sheet with the padding and like the air mesh, the cushion, and it's good. You get this nice solid thing on your back, and it's really good, and it's good. It does a good job of kind of just bringing the top of the bag closer to you. Very necessary, I think, on the 35-liter. You could get away without using it so much on the 28-liter if you, depending on what you got out of here. The thing is, when you are wearing like this, it's fine. When you set it down, you get like this kind of byong, byong, byong. So that's especially problematic when you're trying to get this in the overhead bin or you're trying to lay the bag flat. So I've talked about this in a few other videos or whatever, but like if you lay the bag like this, you get this nasty kind of crease that's going to permanently crease your foam and look in your shoulder straps, and you get like the bag doesn't sit flat. So you have to do is you have to kind of release the shoulder straps, kind of tuck this in, lay it flat, and now you kind of got, hang on, let me adjust here. Now the bag will lay nice and flat like in an overhead bin or something, or under a seat in front of you or whatever, okay? It's just another fussy interaction on this bag. It's kind of inevitable, I think, for the most part. If you're doing load lifters, you're going to have, on a bag, your users are going to have to deal with this. There are a few bags like the Gura Gear, I think I did a review of that a while back, that did a good job of like allowing you to fold the straps flat in a non-destructive manner whilst the shoulder load lifters were deployed. But this one, I always found myself kind of, you know, going like this when it was time to carry, and then when I get in, a thing and then lay it flat like with my forearm like this or whatever. Anyway, so next let's talk about who this bag is for and who it's not for. Well, I think it's for overnight and short trips of a few days, especially like short trips where you need to do a lot of stuff and thus can make maximum use of all the multiple EDC organization features. And like anywhere you would normally reach for like a weekender or a duffel, I think this is gonna be a great choice. And it'll probably cover you, but it'll do so with a lot more organization and all the convenience of a backpack. You don't need to carry anything by hand, it's on your back. 1 to 2 day business trips, I think, is another area where this bag excels a lot. And it's one where I most often use it. Or I should say 1 to 2 night business trips where you're not wearing a suit. I wouldn't wear this bag or any travel backpack with a suit because it's going to ruin the lines of your suit and your shirt and all that. You definitely want to go with like a roller or luggage or like a duffel or a brief weekend or something like that. But, you know, for smart casual or business casual, whatever, this is great. And the black nylon or the X-Pac, it looks not out of place at all, and like a sea of tumies will blend into most business casual, smart casual type conversations or situations, and it'll still give you tons of organization to carry your business papers, man, and also any other kind of business accoutrements, if you will. And you know, you'd be like, who needs all this organization, man? If you are, you know, if you gotta need like your work phone, or you get your job that requires you to have a work phone, like a you know, personal phone, or maybe if you in the scumbag business, my man Flossie Carter says, and you got your scumbag phone, you got your regular phone. I don't know. I don't judge. Mountain's a open-minded individual. You know, tons of organization here are going to help you out. I think this is good for one bag travel for well-dialed kits. Now, not my number one choice for one bag travel for one bag travel, but it does technically tick all the right boxes. It has all the travel features, as I told you, and especially if you prefer a lot of organization over like raw carrying capacity and you still want a small bag, like this is a good one. Now, if you carry a lot of stuff, you know, the 35 liter larger version is a very popular choice for one bag travel, as I mentioned. It's kind of one of the great exemplars of like the big black travel bag category of bags. But some people might like this bag smaller proportion relative to its larger sibling. If you got a well-dialed kit, it's definitely a solidly constructed choice, I think. Maximalists and fans of organization. This bag has like all the features and a pocket for everything. So like if you're the kind of person that orders a personal pan size pizza and then loads it up with all the toppings and you get stuffed crust and then you get one more order of extra pepperoni and cheese on top of that, this bag might be your jam. If you get like the extra large pizza and all the toppings and the pepperoni and the stuffed crust and an extra order of cheese, then you probably want to go with the 35 liter version. But for those of y'all who are in personal pan pizza land, this might be a pretty good bag to look at. Now, who is it not for? EDC. Look, I get a lot of comments on my videos asking about this bag as an EDC carry for those of you with large or specialist loads, like nurses, videographers, etc. So my thoughts on this is you can definitely use this bag in that capacity, but you're going to pay for it with a ton of travel-related features and extra weight and capacity, reduced capacity as a result of that. And you're never going to use those features in an EDC context. So I think you're almost always going to be better off with a more dedicated EDC pack. Just get a top tier EDC pack. Extended travel. So there's a general maximum, I think, in one bag travel that you basically pack the same way, regardless of whether you're traveling for 1 night or 3 nights or 3 months. And while broadly that is true, this smaller bag particularly has a relatively limited capacity of size and weight ratio, as I mentioned, relative to other bags out there. So you're just not gonna be able to fit quite as much stuff in here for the size and weight of what you're carrying around. I think this bag's sweet spot is really like short trips that need a lot of organization. And like for extended travel, I think your needs tend to shift more towards raw access capacity and lighter weight rather than tons of detailed organization. And again, there's a 35 liter variant that is very popular for one bag travel. The 35 liter is large enough that you can fit in like a packable day pack and use that as your main EDC bag. This one's so is smaller that if you do that, it takes up a non-trivial amount of space. So it's kind of like redundant in a way. If this bag is for maximalists, by definition, I don't think it can be for minimalists. It has all the features and the pepperoni and the stuffed crust, so it's also heavy. Tons of bells and whistles and this dangly and fussy. Minimalists look elsewhere. And finally, dress up business. If you're working for a white shoe law firm, or like a bank. And probably you want to stick with your roller luggages and your Tumis and whatnot. Now, if you're in the market for a bag like this, what are some other bags that you might want to consider? I'm going to show you a couple of options for bags in this size and a couple of options for like the larger sibling. Okay, first and foremost, we've got the Bellroy Transit Work Pack Pro 28 liters, so nominally the same size as this. Now I did a review of the 22 liter sibling of this one, where I had some issues with a side pocket that I expressed my feelings about on camera. This one is the larger version. I don't seem to have the problem on this one. Maybe just more space and better proportioning or whatever. Now, this is a work pack, but it is, I think, kind of can be used for the same kind of general purposes that I mentioned this bag is kind of good at. I think you get it's a much lighter, it's somewhat lighter bag. It's got a different take on organization, but you can still see it holds a ton. Still got a lot of like the main things, like, you know, you got your laptop compartment in the back with like a tech drop-in pocket here, your front organizer pocket with a big drop-in area. You got a sunglasses pocket up here at the top here. You've got a water bottle pocket on one side, and then you got like this key side pocket on this side. Very robust load carriage system. And then this main area can actually hold a surprising amount of stuff. I would probably say, because there's just so much less material dedicated to like the construction of the bag. Or now this one doesn't have nearly as much organization as this one, though it still has a pretty decent amount of organization for the most part. So something to think about. Keeping it in the X-Pac family, this is the Able Carry Max travel bag. I did a review of this on the channel, so I'm not going to spend too much time. I'm just going to link to it. It's a very good X-Pac bag in the same general category size as this one here. Big open compartment, a couple of dual pockets inside of here. You got some side pockets on this side here. You got water bottle pocket on this side here. You got a front / access pocket on there. You got a rear laptop compartment with the tech compartment inside of there. Very robust load carriage. Quick access pocket at the top there. Robust load carriage, same kind of, you know, pass through on there. All the good stuff and all the good looks and whatever of X-Pac as well. If you're looking at the larger one, the 35 liter, something you consider, this is a Tortuga Travel Pack. It's another one of the quintessential big black travel bags that also has some very similar kind of like spiritual, you know, ideas around like a front organizer pocket with a big, you know, drop-in area, then a gigantic main packing volume here, removable hip belt, big, you know, zipper area for like clothing or whatever, just a big open wide space there. You definitely have less organization on this one as well, but it has a very robust load carriage system here with very thick straps and kind of really robust, you know, back cushioning. The frame sheet is also fairly stiff, and then you saw there was that kind of hip belt that's removable here. Good load carriage for the size there, and some external water bottle pockets on each side here. And so really that is it. If you have any questions about this bag, go ahead and leave those in the comments below, and if I can, I will answer them. And if you have any bags you would like me to review, or anything else for that matter, I'm going to leave those in the comments below, and if I can, I will review them. Thank you very much.